scripture passages that we are given during these final days of the church year. One of the sure signs, we're told, of the end times, and the signs of the coming of Christ, will be the wars and the conflicts that arise between people and nations. What is war? War is described as hostile aggression between groups of people. Why are wars fought? Historically, it seems that economics is the biggest factor which leads people to be aggressive against the other nations, wanting to increase the size of their territory, and nations trying to defend their territory. Other factors for war may be the ideological conflicts that exist between people of different races or religions. In any event, whatever the cause of war and conflict, it is devastating and undoubtedly the greatest form of evil. If you look at various wars that have been fought at any time in history, you'll find that those who suffer the most are innocent people, innocent civilians, people who are caught up in the middle of conflicting armies. For instance, it's estimated that of the 60 million people who died in the Second World War, 40 million were civilians. People died not only as a result of actual war, but as a result of starvation and disease. But what is the real cause of war and conflict? Where does it originate? It originates in the minds and the hearts of people. Like most of the evils that we face in this world, much of it is of our own making, comes from within us. You know, there's an old Native American story about a chieftain, an Indian chieftain, who was talking about his own personal struggles. And he said, inside of me there are two dogs. One of the dogs is mean and evil. The other dog is kind and good. But the mean dog fights the good dog all the time. And when he was asked, which dog wins? He said, the one that I feed the most. And I think there's a real truth in that. There is both good and bad within each person. We choose to nourish one or the other. If we allow sin to dominate our thoughts, then sinful actions will follow. If we choose to nurture what is good and holy within us, loving and holy actions will follow. The choice really belongs to us. As I said, this past week we've been listening to scripture readings about the end times. And the book Revelation, of course, as you heard, speaks about wars and conflicts between good and evil. But really it's more than just a reference to something that happens or is going to happen in history. This is coded language for the struggle that exists in each of us. If anything, the book of Revelation is talking about what is already happening within the human heart. The struggle between sin and holiness is a battle that we're all fighting. But we fight this battle as people of faith, knowing that the outcome has already been determined. Sin and evil will have their limits because of Christ's victory. While various struggles will continue in human history and in the human heart, we know that the peace has been won by the suffering, death, and resurrection of Christ. So as we move to the beginning of a new church year, we will be focusing on the coming of Christ. And maybe it'd be a good time for us to reflect on how the coming of Christ has really given us an option when it comes to our personal struggles, fighting against those demons within us. Without Christ, we're left to fight our own battles, and those are battles that we will lose. But with Christ coming, we have a new weapon against sin and evil. By choosing him, by choosing faith, we can defeat the enemy and find a